Now, is this a good bookish Christmas present or what? Welcome, dear bookworms. This is Vasil, the backwater librarian. Today we'll be having a rather different type of video, and namely an unboxing one. Well, it's Christmas after all, so let's see what kind of a present my wife has in store for me. Let's check this out, guys. Whoop. The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Isn't that cool or what? Let's move the bag aside. We won't be needing it anymore. So let's check out this beauty. The Hobbit and the 3 books of the Lord of the Rings. Wow, isn't that great? So this, as I said, is an unboxing video. As you can see, the books are still wrapped in their protective plastic, so this is the first time I am unpacking them at Christmas Day, you guys. So let's grab some scissors and try to open this beauty up together. We gotta be extra gentle not to damage it. By the way, let's see what we have at the bottom. The ISBN. I guess this is the ISBN for the entire 4-book collection which we have here. So I will drop the ISBN in the video description below. I just have to mention that this is not a sponsored video, so no affiliate links or anything like that. It's just me giving you this info for your convenience. So without further ado, let's open this thing up. Okay.
A few moments later.
Okay, first incision done. Now it should be a bit easier. But let's not get carried away. Let's not damage this beauty. Wow, look at that. Tolkien's logo, I guess. Yes, definitely. Embossed lettering in gold. Let's give it some angle so that you can see it. Wow, it looks great so far. It looks perfect. So let's unwrap this thing. Okay, that would be it. Wow, let's check this together, guys. Look at this beauty. Gold colored lettering. J.R.R. Tolkien, his logo. Wow, these look even better without the plastic wrap. Look at those embossed titles on the spines. These look great. Okay. So, you see what's interesting? You can put this on your shelf either way. Either with the back, you have the entire, you have the full-on description, the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings, so it would look great from the back as well if you put it this way on your shelf, or if you put it with the spines of with the spines of the books, it would also look very nice. So you have that agility or versatility of this package. I should put it better. Okay, let's try taking out the books one by one and see what they're all about. Look at this beauty. Rather smallish, I would say, but not overly so. Not overly so, yes. Okay, let's open it up. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Wow, look at that map. The map of Middle Earth. Look at that beauty. The font is a bit on the small side, but it is surprisingly legible nonetheless. I would say you shouldn't have any issues with reading this font. Yeah, so very legible. It's some serif type of font, so looks very beautiful, very rounded, and it is definitely legible. It is definitely legible. Yes, so as I said, on the smallish side of books, so I would compare them to Macmillan Classical Library, and I would say that even the font is similar and in shape and size, in type, I should say better, and size. I've never had any issues with reading the editions from Macmillan Classical Library, so that would be a good comparison for you to know what you're getting yourself into if you do purchase these books. So let's try to compare the font. So we see here, these are still not broken in, so still I cannot open them as I would like to. Unlike the Ghost Stories by M.R. James, which you can tell I've read quite a bit because I can open them very easily. So let's try to... Sorry guys, this is my first hands-on video, so sorry for any technical difficulties. But you can see, I mean, the font, it's, I would say, maybe the same size. There is some slight difference in font. I don't know what these fonts are. They look similar, serif type of font. Some slight differences, but more or less, if you're good to go with the Macmillan Classical Library, you shouldn't have any issues with enjoying this edition of the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Okay, so let's check it out. Let's see what edition we have here. Let's see. So copyright, of course, 37, 51, 66, etc. But published by HarperCollins Publishers in 2007. Didn't think these books are that old. 2007. Interesting. Yeah, but nonetheless, very handy books. Rounded edges. Yeah, very, very, very beautiful. Very nice to handle, to have around, and to simply enjoy. Let's see. Yeah, I was about to check the year of publication. So yeah, it is 2007, as we said. Let's say the text of this edition is based on that published by HarperCollins Publishers in 1995. Okay, good. As I imagined, it is printed in China.
It comes from China.
You know, made in China doesn't have to mean that it is low quality, and I don't think these books are low quality at all. So they do make some great products in China as well, so that wouldn't be an issue. I read on Amazon that these books are leather bound, so I don't know if this is real leather or faux leather, but whatever the case may be, they look very sturdily bound. Let's check the binding from up above. This looks like sawn binding indeed. So Let's try to confirm that beyond any like shadow of a doubt. So let me just move several pages in. Yeah, I believe it's on this next one. I don't know if we will be able to see the sewing. I don't think so, but indeed they are sewn. They are not only glued together, but they are sewn. So these will last a lifetime, and even more than that, guys. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. So, like, no inconsistencies. They are finely made here in the edges, like finely bound. Let's check the other books as well while we're at it. Let's check the books from a physical standpoint, let's put it that way. So a bit yellowish here. I'll go back to the Hobbit though, because something did make an impression on me. Like, I have a small nitpick. If you see here, the title on this particular book is not perfectly aligned in the center, so it's a bit on the lower side if we see it from this angle. That is not the case with the other books, so you see here perfectly aligned. But you know, this is a small nitpick, so I won't bother myself too much with it, and I don't mind, to be honest. If the other aspects of the books are satisfactory, which these seem to be, then this like small inconsistency here doesn't bother me at all. If anything, it does show that these books have been bound by hand, and you know, I have a tolerance for slight human errors, let's put it that way. Okay, so let's continue with checking the other books. So Fellowship of the Ring, nice and yellow. Wow. So no issues there, you see, perfectly aligned, like from the inside. Let's make space for the other books. The Two Towers. Look at that beauty. Like, what would be this, like brownish, kind of brownish orange. Again, like great quality, nicely aligned, no issues there. And then The Return of the King. Again, nicely aligned, no issues. Yes, wow, I think I will enjoy these books, guys. I think I will enjoy them. Yeah, let's check some other specifics like illustrations and maps and whatnot. So in The Hobbit, we see, what should this be? Thor's map. Sorry if I am not pronouncing that correctly. So let's check this out, like a map of the Middle Earth, maybe. The Lonely Mountain, yes. The Hobbit there, back again, we have the contents. Do we have some illustrations throughout? Let's see, I think I saw some when I was sifting through the book, but now I don't find them. There we are. Barrels out of bonds. Yeah, we do seem to have some illustrations. What is this? The Elven King's Gate. Okay, interesting. Interesting, yeah. So yes, some illustrations. Yeah, so the front gate. So we have some nice like pencil illustrations throughout. Maybe they're not that abundant, but still they are there. So that's a nice touch. Yeah, so maybe I should talk about the contents for a minute. Let's leave this like aside, like here, and let's talk about it a bit. Yes, guys, so I have actually read all of these 4 books, but this was 20 plus years ago. So back when I was living in Macedonia, I read them in Macedonian, but I don't remember much about them, to be honest. The Hobbit, yeah, I read it in, I would say, a nice Macedonian translation. Maybe I'll flash it on screen as a B-roll if I'm able to find it. I definitely have it in my old library at my house there in Macedonia, so it is there definitely. But as I said, 20 years have passed, and I don't remember much about the story. I remember that it was a nice like adventure story with hobbits, with some battles, etc. But it also felt, I mean, there were moments when it felt like a children's story for some reason. I don't know if that was the author's intention, but that's what I remember about the book. So it would be interesting to reread it in this like great English edition and to see if my impressions hold true or not. So yeah, as for the Lord of the Ring books, the actual Lord of the Ring books, I've read them as well. Also like 20 years plus ago. So again, I don't remember much. What I do remember is that the Lord of the Rings books were also available in Macedonian, but I don't want to slander anyone or like sound overly critical, but I do remember that the Macedonian editions did look like hastily and clumsily translated, apparently pushed out in order to ride the popularity wave of the movie adaptations. But hey, these were the only ones available to me at the time. I rented them from my local library and I read them. If I remember correctly, I read them back to front. So I started with the Return of the King. Then I went on to the Two Towers and finished up with the Fellowship of the Ring. I guess this was so, if I remember correctly again, I think the books weren't like readily available. They were apparently in high demand and the local library had only that many copies to lend. So that's why I read them as in the order as I found them available. So as you can imagine, not the ideal way of reading these books, but this is why I have this gorgeous edition now. So again, I'm very happy and very thankful to my wife for giving me this awesome Christmas gift. So, what do I remember about the Fellowship of the Ring? I remember it being my favorite book from the trilogy. I was very much surprised by the sheer amount of folklore and songs included in here. Like, as the members of the Fellowship travel, they sing like folk songs, they meet interesting characters, etc. So you see here, for example, yeah, very, very interesting, very interesting. Yes, so folklore songs, I think these songs would sound great in the original, unlike the translation which I mentioned, but even in the translation you could feel the genius of Tolkien with these songs. I mean, it was great. I have to say that I get the impression now, though, that the font is even smaller in this one than what it was in the Hobbit. So that would be something to have in mind. So it is considerably smaller, I would say, and not as legible as I would like it to be. So it seems a bit muddled somehow. You can see the difference. So the font in the Hobbit is much clearer, much sharper, and considerably larger. So that is something to have in mind. I don't think that I would have any issues with even with this small of a font in the Fellowship of the Ring, even without using any glasses. I don't think I would have an issue with reading it. But if your vision isn't sufficiently good, you might want to take that into consideration when deciding if you would like to purchase this particular edition. So yes, as I said, the Fellowship of the Ring, my favorite. Folklore songs. This one also contains that strange episode with Tom Bombadil. I struggle to understand that episode. It was very, very strange, very weird, I would say. I've read somewhere how Tom Bombadil should actually be an allegory of God, but it would be very interesting to delve into these topics, to reread the book, to analyze it, I would say, to read opinion pieces and essays about it, and to hopefully decrypt as much as possible such cryptic episodes as that with Tom Bombadil. Okay, let's check the last two books, the Two Towers. Let's see what the font is in this. So yeah, again, we have this small font, so very tiny, I would say, not that legible. So yeah, I think that if I do read these in large chunks, then I would probably need my glasses. Yeah. Yes, so I was hoping the font would be the same as the one in The Hobbit, so which is very clear and legible, but that's unfortunately not the case with the rest of the books. Let's check the Return of the King. Yes, so here we have the same smallish font. Yes, so this is something to have in mind. If you want a larger font, then these editions wouldn't be for you. Unfortunately, I would say yes, they are great. They are simply great in all other regards. Yeah, okay, let's check let's check for some illustrations or maps. Yeah, so even here where we have the contents, the font, although a bit larger here, is still a bit muddled. I don't know if that is like a, how do you call it, a phototypic typeset, so not a digital one, as opposed to The Hobbit, where it is probably a digital font. I'm not an expert in typography. Sorry if I'm sounding a bit silly at the moment, but yes, the font does look different. It's not only the size. Yes, but okay, having discussed the font, let's check for some other interesting features of the box. Yes, so this one, no illustrations, no... Right when I was about to say no maps, but wow, look at this. The west side of Middle-earth. Yes, this is the classical map of Middle-earth. So this is supposed to be the west side. Okay, this is the only map of Middle-earth I am familiar with, and I can tell right away that this is a Tolkien world. This is the Lord of the Rings world. So that classical map. I think it was also. I believe this map was drawn by Tolkien himself. Okay, but let's check some of the other ones. So what would be this? A map of Arnor. Okay, so now we have like zoomed in Arnor, Eriador. Okay, so zoomed in sections of Middle-earth. This would be Rovanion, Mirkwood, Legolas of Mirkwood, yes. Okay, let's check this. So Rohan, then Mordor, Kant, pretty Central Asian sounding name, Kant, like Samarkand, yes. So Rohan, Gondor, Mordor, okay. Yeah, so good material there. Some nice maps. Let's check the Return of the King. This seems to be the chunkiest of the bunch. Yeah, I think so. Yes, so... Oh, what do we have here? Like a family tree or something. Wow. Look at that, you guys. And then we have several appendices. The languages and peoples of the Third Age. Wow. What is this? Some alphabet. Yeah, I know that Tolkien was a successful linguist, so he came up with the Elvish language, the Black Tongue, I think it was called, the language of the orcs. So his imagination went above and beyond, so he created not only these fantasy races, but also their corresponding fantasy languages. Yes. Okay. Yes. So, I mean, a great addition. The font is a bit on the small side, something to have in mind, but for me personally, that wouldn't be an impediment to enjoying these books. So, what else do I remember about The Lord of the Rings? What stood out to me when I was reading this for the first time was the complete lack of religion in the entire trilogy, and I don't think The Hobbit is an exception as well, if I remember correctly. So, no religion whatsoever. You know, you have these races, the men, the elves, the orcs, hobbits, of course, dwarves, which have been described in quite some detail, like their history, their cultures, their habits, even their languages, as we've just seen, but there is no mention of any religion. I mean, that I found pretty strange, and it was a glaring, like I would say in quotes, omission. So why am I putting it in quotes? I think that I'm pretty sure that Tolkien left out religion on purpose because of his Catholic faith. So he didn't want to make up some fictional religion or religions for the races inhabiting the Middle Earth out of reverence for the Christian faith, more precisely in its Catholic variant. So yes, he was a devout Catholic and didn't want, I would say, didn't want to blaspheme. That would be a very harsh word, of course. I personally don't think that like making up fictional religions for the purposes of your fiction is a sin, but he refrained from it, and I absolutely respect his decision. On that note, I do believe that both the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit do contain many Christian themes which I'm yet to explore. This would be very interesting for me as a Christian myself. Off the top of my head, I can at least name one. So that would be the corrupting nature of power as represented by the One Ring. Let's just recall what happened to Smeagol, also known as Gollum, when he obtained the One Ring of Power. So a very interesting topic, that one, and I do think there are many more which I have yet to explore. Another interesting topic would be Tolkien's unspoken conservationism. He had a love of nature and had grave concerns about the felling of English forests. So the following tendency is observed in his books, especially in The Lord of the Rings. Races which live in synergy with nature are in general considered good, while those which harm nature are evil. Let's just remember Saruman and his project at Fortress Isengard, the mechanization, the unnatural breeding of Uruk-hai warriors, etc. Of course, the felling of trees in the nearby forests. Another interesting feature of The Lord of the Rings is the melancholic feeling you get when reading them, a feeling about a vanishing magical world. So good, fantastic races and creatures seem to be on their last legs in Middle-earth. For example, the elves or the Ents. But they're still just strong enough to take part in one way or another in the fight against evil. The use of magic is on the decline as well, but there's still just enough left, most notably in the hands of Gandalf, to oppose Sauron. So in conclusion, this is a seminal work of fantasy which more or less shaped the modern high fantasy fiction as we know it, not to mention its influence on the countless fantasy tabletop and video games. This will be a great addition to my library, both from a visual perspective, but also as a great way to experience Tolkien again. So, a great thank you to my wife for this wonderful Christmas present. Merry Christmas, you guys. Have a blessed New Year, and we'll hopefully see each other more often in 2025 here on BookTube. I hope you found some enjoyment in this rather spontaneous and unscripted video of mine, and if so, I would be very glad if you could like and subscribe and maybe check out some of my other videos. As always, the Backwater Librarian guides you through the obscure pathways of literature. Thank you for watching and pleasant reading.